This airplane is taking 2 people home. For Oyunkar Domingo Peas from the Achuar people, it's his first home. For German publisher Mascha Kauka, it's her second.
I just love the forest. I love it like a living being. Beneath the treetops, which look like broccoli stretching to the horizon from up here, it's teeming with life, the animals, the plants and the water. The Amazon basin is our last great forest ecosystem, the last great wetland area we have, and it just has to be preserved. Otherwise, in the future, we won't have to worry about earning more money or finding better jobs. We'll spend our time just trying to survive.
The village of Chamaranza is located in the Ecuadorian jungle on the Pastaza, a tributary of the Amazon. Its inhabitants belong to the Achuar, one of Amazonia's 400 or so indigenous peoples. For countless generations of Achuar, the tropical rainforest has provided both a home and a livelihood. But for how much longer? Oyunkar Domingo Peas is one of the leaders of the Achuar tribe in Ecuador. He is worried.
I'm very concerned because the government and the local authorities are planning to build a road through Achuar lands. If the road is made, then bad things will begin to invade. Forestry, mining, drilling for oil, everything. That's my main fear.
In his search for allies to help the Achuar, Domingo Peas came across Mascha Kauka from the southern German city of Munich. She's been working with Ecuador's indigenous peoples for more than 30 years. Together, they came up with an unusual plan. They'd set up an international academy to help save the jungle. Among the Academy's first guests is a group of university students from Munich. Most of them are preparing to submit their final dissertations in the subjects of cartography or GIS technology. The group will spend several weeks working on research projects in the rainforest. This combination of scientific research and tourism aims to provide the indigenous locals with a sustainable source of income.
When we started to explore new possibilities as to how the Achuar could live and work in the future, we had to do a lot of groundwork. You can't just jump into the tourist business. You need guides, you need places for the guests to stay, you need the food for them to eat, and you have to be able to cook. So we practiced all this for years. It was our pilot project, which lasted 6 years. We wanted to create a model for living and working in the forest in the future, not necessarily one dependent on tourism, but one that provides a healthy life, a dignified life in the forest, one that could give the young people here a future. That's crucial to ensure they stay in the forest, because it's their territory.
The accommodations are still makeshift. It's still early days for the Academy's infrastructure. So far, 8 German universities are taking part in the scheme under the auspices of Mascha Kauka's Amazonica Foundation.
We've already signed an international contract.
The students' project should benefit the community where possible. These future surveyors are measuring the villagers' plots of land. The exact boundaries, however, aren't quite as clearly defined as the German students are used to. They cannot agree on how to finally determine the property lines. Having been told that palm trees mark the border, some feel it would be unprofessional to lay down the line a meter to the left or to the right. A horn signals that it's time for breakfast. As the author and publisher of 138 cookbooks, Mascha Kauka attaches great importance to healthy nutrition and a varied diet. She has introduced vegetable cultivation and small animal husbandry to Sharamansa to counterbalance the steadily dwindling stocks of game and fish in the wild. The neighboring communities are queuing up to take part in the local development projects offered by Mascha Kauka's foundation. And no wonder. The pilot project in Sharamansa has provided every family with clean drinking water and electricity, as well as a communal washing area. The village is now even linked to the internet. Soon, a secondary school will be added to the existing primary school.
The Indians love their forest, and they coexist with it. It's a part of their tradition. They only leave it or start selling wood in the catchment area of the road network if they have no alternative. The aim of our projects, in other words, is to give the Indians in the forest an alternative to leaving it, and an alternative to exploitation by the timber and oil companies, and by the commodities sector as a whole.
Vuestra cosmovisión ante la naturaleza.
To you, nature means only wealth. Everyone says development is good. We want to develop too. Who doesn't? Who doesn't want to live well? We all do. But we're not selfish. We don't say only me. We also consider those who will come after us.
And those on our side.
And those on our side.
Domingo says we can't build some sort of Berlin Wall because then we'll just be overrun, wall and all. We have to open up and get to know the outside world, and then try to pick out the good things that certainly do exist in the civilization beyond our boundaries and combine them with the values we have here in the forest.
Mascha Kauka has always been adventurous and eager to help others. As a child, she dreamed of working as a nurse in Africa alongside physician and Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Schweitzer. When she traveled to Ecuador on a holiday with her husband 30 years ago, a tribal chief asked them for help in the battle to put an end to logging. That was how it all began, and there was never any doubt that Mascha Kauka would continue to fight, even after the death of her husband. Geologists and biologists in particular find Ecuador's last primeval forest, with all its biodiversity, fascinating. It's an island of jungle that survived the last ice age, and yet now faces its greatest ever threat. The students are lucky. During their first ramble through the jungle, they see several hoatzin, a pheasant-like bird whose chicks have clawed wings, something otherwise only found in fossils of the earliest known bird, the Archaeopteryx.
The most important thing is for the young people to discover the forest, because you can only love what you know, and then you'll want to protect it. The students who've been here have all gone home with the forest in their hearts, and will undoubtedly do their part to defend its cause. The road into the forest is always just a one-way street. Civilization in, natural resources out, exploit the Indians, exploit the forest, exploit nature, and the Indians are left with nothing. We've found that the Indians have no problem with the modern world as long as they get the necessary training and assistance in the various areas of life. Then they'll take care of their forest. Then they're its best guardians. And the only other thing they need, and this is part of our project work, is external help, an external ally. We always say, Indians protect the forest from within, and the world's young people should protect it from without. That's why it's good for them to get to know each other and agree to work together.
Und die Jugend der Welt soll den Wald von außen schützen. Und sie sollen sich gegenseitig kennenlernen und gegenseitig die Hand reichen.
A group of students sets off on a small research expedition with their forest guide Nantu.
This is where we are.
Is this the path?
No, it's here.
Sebastian is studying tourism. With Nantu's help, he wants to produce a guide to the trails threading through the forest around Xaramensa. Ludia and Florian are collecting spatial data for an internet map, which they want to supplement with panoramic photos. Researchers and students coming to the rainforest in the future will be able to use them. More and more German universities are showing interest in the academy, and an international network of universities is being planned. Nantu, who got a scholarship from the Amazonica Foundation to study environmental technology, takes the students to meet Ensakwa, the community's shaman.
He's also a doctor and healer. He can even reset joints. He has to live in relative isolation to concentrate on his work. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love people.
Ensakwa shows the group the holy waterfalls. This is where the ceremonies of the Achuar used to take place, until the day a taboo was broken.
The waterfalls are holy to the Achuar?
Yes.
When I was here in March, 2 North Americans were here in Xaramensa too. And they went swimming in it.
The waterfalls were very sacred and no atrocity should occur there. But it did, and since then they've continued to decline. That's of course one of the negative effects of tourism. But we'll keep it under control and ensure it remains sustainable.
It seems to me that the people here want to live with the environment, with nature, with everything, whereas we in Europe are more inclined to live from the world. In other words, we pay less attention to what will come after us. Such an idea is far too unimportant to us.
On the hill above the village, work on the new academy building has started. The natives will be able to learn here too. Courses in gastronomy, agriculture, technology, and environmental protection should give them the wherewithal to fend off the oil companies' tempting offers.
You often hear it said, why don't you just leave the Indians in peace? They could carry on living as they always have, and it'd be heaven on earth for them and wonderful and so on. But it must be quite obvious to anyone. There are no Indians and hardly any other indigenous peoples worldwide who live in these idyllic conditions or still live the way they have for the last 1,000 years. That's over, and we should have no illusions about it.
I was at the COP6 climate conference in Holland, and all the environmentalists talked about biodiversity, and about flora and fauna, the animals that were threatened with extinction, about this bird and that, but they never once mentioned the indigenous peoples. We've always rejected oil extraction. We've had 30 years of experience of that in the north of Ecuador, and in Peru too. It's a total disaster. Oil always runs rampant. The rivers are contaminated, the insects disappear, and the water is polluted, and all the fish die. For us, it's a fatal catastrophe. Unfortunately, we live downstream on the river, so if it's all poisoned upstream of us, we're sunk.
We'd have an increase in child mortality and miscarriages. In the north, they had a 30% increase in cancer cases. That had happened here too. Add to that, of course, that the people here would just lose their entire livelihoods. The forest is disappearing. We've found that in Kauka, in the north of the country, where they've been drilling for oil for 30 years and the forest has been destroyed, the average yearly temperature has risen by 4 degrees in just 30 years. Many species have become extinct as a result.
Mascha Kauka carries on to Uyensa, the Academy's second jungle site. Domingo Peas, who is also the Academy's director, has arrived ahead of her. The inauguration of the first large building complex is due to take place in 2 days' time. The villagers are from the Shuar tribe. It's taken them many months to complete the biggest traditional building in the entire Amazon jungle by hand. They're proud and elated as they receive the Academy's founder.
Fantastic. Oh, isn't that great? I love it. This view, all the people, the space, the greenery. Estrelita, you are a beauty. You first noticed that from afar.
Cuidado, cuidado. Libre, pista libre.
Enrico says this way there's room in the bed for 8 people.
The accommodation and bathrooms for the future students are inspected with a European eye for detail.
We can't get rid of the black spots.
That's all got to go. It's got to be like new. And you want to show us this toilet? Then you need to clean it first.
Entonces toca limpiar porque está sucia la tapa.
But all in all, Kauka is very satisfied. Before the inauguration ceremony, the accomplished cookbook author gives the Shuar women a cooking course. One of the things she tells them about is ginger, which they know as a medicinal plant, not as a flavoring for chicken soup.
First, I should tell the kitchen manager that the roots of parsley are very tasty.
Kauka has introduced vegetables and herbs that are used in Europe, something familiar for the German students they'll be feeding here in the future.
The best thing is to start with the skin facing downwards. Cabbage. Tip it all in at once, Carolina, all at once.
De una, Carolina. De una.
Before the great celebration, all the members of the tribe adorn themselves with body paint. Mascha, too.
I've been initiated into 3 tribes, one after the other. The first was the Shuar, where I'm known as Yanua. Yanua means star woman, and the idea was to say, when you leave again, then we'll look to the stars, and you look to the stars, and then we'll be linked to one another through the stars. Good, like a clown. What are you going to put here? Stars and dots. Dots in black too? Yes, okay. I don't find it hard to commute between two worlds because I'm also at home amongst the Indians. It's one big family. Dear brothers and sisters and young people of this community, of my village, Juvienza. This is a day of great triumph, of great satisfaction, of great success and of great emotion. It's the triumph of a small group which could show the world it can be done. It was an unbelievable struggle. You've seen how the threats have constantly grown, and that it's time to change. And not just a little bit. We need a complete transformation. Finally, I have a surprise for you. Thanks to your efforts, in just a few weeks, we will have the internet here. We'll be getting a satellite antenna. And we, as the indigenous people of the forest, will be on the same level as the rest of the world.
¡Hey! ¡Bravo! ¡Que viva Juvienza!
Long live Juvienza!
TV is a Shuar living in Juvienza. He's looking forward to the students coming.
We worked for 9 months to create all this, so we could receive you all here with such joy, like our brothers, our blood, and treat you as we do our own bodies. Yes, there is hope for our young people in the future. We are creating our own university here, an academy of the forest. Our young people, our children, who will come after us, will study here. And they will learn new ideas and technologies.
Anyone who is committed to the forest and its inhabitants and opposes the international commodities companies lives dangerously. Mascha Kauka has been kidnapped twice and frequently receives threats, but that doesn't deter her.
I didn't choose it for myself. I've actually become convinced that the forest and the Indians chose me. I didn't have to do it, but I did. I'm passionate about it, and the longer I do it, the more passionate I get, and the better I feel when I do it.
The trip to the rainforest is slowly drawing to a close for the student group in Sharamansa, who take a raft ride on the Pastaza. But for Mascha Kauka, the fight is now really starting. Time is running out for the forest. The Ecuadorian government has now cleared the way for oil drilling in the country's largest intact rainforest.
My idea is to accompany all this here for as long as I live. In other words, as long as I can somehow put one foot in front of the other, as long as I can fly, I'll keep up this commuting. But I have to be in Germany too. I have to keep going into the outside world just to drum up money and motivate people to get involved. And when I can't keep on any longer, hopefully that won't happen until I'm ancient, then my last flight will be here to Xaramensa.
Thank you.